full of. I've already butchered it. I have butchered the beginning of every single episode for the last 2 weeks. 145, TBC 145. 28th, 29th, July 27th, 4:27 p.m. 2020.
Well, you got it out.
Vimeo, Vimeo, DTube, VO, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, BitChute, blah, 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 blah. All those be linked in the comments, all that good stuff. Mr. Paul Wakecombe. When are you going to start a podcast, man?
I don't know. I just never had a need to. I can always talk to you.
I think you need to start one.
You think so?
I do. So I had on that guy 2 episodes ago, Josh Newman, retired Marine, served in Iraq. And he came on. And he said he's been wanting to start a podcast. And then after he did the one with me, said he got psyched up. So he started his own. And,
cool.
We talked about it. And he finally it's going to be called Reality Playground Podcast. Got some artwork. Started a channel. I think he's doing his first episode today or tomorrow. But he wants to have you on.
What for? I don't know much.
Dude, I told him. Well, because he was like, he said he watched the B-21 Raider, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's my buddy Paul Wakecombe. And he cut me off, and he goes, he's a cool dude, by the way, man. So he's got the Batman background. I was like, Paul's a man. So I texted him. I was like, hey, man, I'll see if Paul wants to do yours. So if you're interested, he wants to have you on.
Love to.
Fuck yeah, which got me thinking, it was right before this, was how come Paul doesn't start one, man? You've got unique, diverse tastes.
I'm kind of doing a thing with this buddy of mine, John William Toohey. He's an author. He's written a ton of books on Chicago Mafia, among other things. Lots and lots. He's written a lot of things. And he started letting me do part of his.
Fuck yeah.
We had on Frankie Diamond's kid. Frankie Diamond was, one of Al Capone's muscle men. Yeah. And so that was real interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a few more of those, so you got me started here, Tommy. That's for sure.
Dude, I think you need to start one, man.
I might.
You don't need to do them the way I've told people. I was like, you don't need to do them the way I do them. You do it your own way. You don't need to do 7 a week. You can do 1 a month. Some podcasts are very produced. Some people like to really research. They have talking points. And it's very specific, and there's no, dilly-dallying and going off into the weeds like we do.
I like that.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite, and that's why I do it. But that's why I started my own, because I wanted mine to be mine. I have no idea what Josh Newman's going to do with Reality Playground. I hope it's awesome, and I hope it's his own thing. I think you should. I think you should put your own spin on something.
I might do that, but I don't know how many people are going to want to talk about the same stuff I do. You're the only one so far.
Dog. Paul, I'm learning this thing as I go. I still have no idea what I'm doing. My shoelaces are intertwined. I forget what to say. I'm tripping over myself. But here I am, episode 145, somehow piecing it together. I have no idea what I'm doing, man. I have no idea what I'm doing.
We must be in the big time now, because I got a real green screen and everything. I can just transport myself anywhere.
We've made it.
After you got the flag.
After this, it's bottle service, and man, I don't know.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, French Polynesia on some big ass yachts doing weird cryptic shit that billionaires do.
Doing coke off hookers' stomachs and stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of billionaires, see Elon Musk is moving to Texas, or he's moving Tesla to Texas.
I don't blame him one bit.
Why do I? I think it's fucking hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Above all else, I think it's hilarious. Not only is he moving, he's building the Gigafactory, which has been in talks for 5 years. Yeah. This is, for everyone listening, the Gigafactory, I think it's going to be the largest square footage factory or structure in the world when it's built.
If it's not, it's really not worthy of the name, is it?
No, exactly. Touche. Gigafactory. So it's going to be massive. God knows how many jobs it's going to provide. I mean, it's building Teslas. And not only did he not reopen his factory in California, he decided to open a new one, or he's going to open a new one in Texas. Joe Rogan is going to move to Texas.
I saw that. Yeah.
Akira the Dawn, the DJ I had on here, episode 80-something, my favorite DJ who makes all of his own Meaning Wave shit. He moved out to Texas 2 weeks ago from L.A., had a penthouse in L.A., first-generation immigrant. He's built himself up over 15 years.
Yeah.
He moved his wife and his 7-year-old son out to out to Austin, I think. He called it the Texodus.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And he was doing live streams the whole way. He was literally like pulling over on the side. He was in like the middle of Death Valley, and he'd bring out his table, throw on like a towel, and he'd be mixing, and you see cactuses and mountains in the back. It looked like Area 51, but he kept having to cut them short after like 11 minutes because everything would overheat.
Yeah.
He was doing them all the way through. It was just Texodus. Now he's in Texas, and he's like, he says it's so wonderful because not only does he say that the air is fresher, the people friendlier, he said he really enjoys that there's no homeless people shitting in front of his house. So,
I can see how that would be a plus.
He said that little thing, you don't really think about it until you don't have it, but I don't mind of homeless people shitting in front of my house. This is one less thing I got to explain to my son.
Oh, you never know. You might miss it.
Yeah, I don't know. Doubt it. But yeah, man, Texodus. So you got all these, but you got these billboards on Texas on the western border, and it says, "Don't vote for what you fled."
Yeah.
Which, hey, vote for whatever the hell you want. But I thought it was interesting. It's remember what you're leaving, and it's whatever which way you lean that's beyond the scope of what I'm talking about. But it just says, "Don't vote for what you fled," and I was like, touche.
Okay.
Well,
it's a different world in Texas. That's for sure.
Texas is, yeah. We're not in Kansas anymore. That's
no, they execute you for like parking tickets.
Texas. It's fucking awesome.
I think they have like a drive-through execution place, don't they? You just drive up, hook your guy up, and
speaking of drive-through, me and everyone at the job I work for a liquor shop now. By the way, they sell these little like pouches of like margaritas. They're called Fat Cock.
So people actually come up and say, "I'd like a fat cock."
Well, no. Girls are always up there on bachelorette parties, and they get their White Claws, and one of the guys that works there is always like, "And ladies, would you like some fat cock for later?" They're always like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "We have lemonade, we have strawberry," and they're always like, "Oh my God, this is so funny." So I actually called the distillery, White Tiger Distillery, I'm trying to get them to sponsor my podcast. They might do it.
You'd be sponsored by Fat Cock.
Hey, man, Joe Rogan started out sponsored by who? The Fleshlight.
Well,
and he just got signed for $10 billion. So
can't argue with that.
Fat Cock it is. But
whatever it takes.
Yeah. But, hey, man, I'll take it. Hey, it's a stepping stone. It's hey, you know what? YouTube could have monetized me instead of fucking shadow censoring me. If they had monetized me, we could have just done a bunch of stupid little Geico ads and whatever, Subway. But instead, they want to play hardball, so now I got to bring in the Fat Cock. So
I don't see how you have any choice.
I don't think I have. I'm between a rock and a hard Fat Cock. So, but where was I going with that? Drive-through. So, yeah. It's hey, man, if anyone could sell it, it'd be me. So I'm gonna try. I don't know if that's a compliment to myself or an insult, but.
Well, I'm not going to make any comments about irony or anything like that.
Yeah. But there's another thing they're selling now called Buzz Balls, and they're like these little balls of it's like tequila and like lemonade, just some. So now I need to get sponsored by them too, because then the possibilities are endless. But
one without the other seems.
It seems a little neutered, but but because I've had a job and stopped being a lazy fuck. One of the things that we had to go do was they're getting worried is we all had to go get tested for COVID.
Of course.
And so we went over today, all in our own cars, just like a mile from work. And we go through and it's almost like the movie like Contagion. There's like checkpoints and there's people in the their protect, what is it? PPE?
EPE.
What does it stand for?
Personal protective equipment.
Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Personal protective equipment. But yeah, so you're there, you got to sign in, then you go to the next place, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. Who are you with? Who's your employer, blah, blah, blah. Driver's license, blah, blah, blah. And then you pull up 3 cars at a time and you stop. You didn't even get out of your car, dude.
Right.
They come up and just put your head back, stare at your window, jam something up your nose like they're fucking like mummification where they pulled the brains out of the pharaoh's noses. And then they take it out and say it lasts 5 seconds. It feels like 5 minutes. Pull it out and they said, "All right, we'll call you in 2 to 4 days." So
I don't think I'll be doing that.
It honestly wasn't that bad. It was more unique than it was. It wasn't painful. It wasn't painful. It wasn't your little kid getting a shot and it hurts. It wasn't painful. It was just like it was like your brain itched. You're like, had that. Like I was driving away and I just kept going like like, but it didn't hurt. No, I mean, no, go get it. I mean, if you want to get it, it really the entire process, leaving work, getting it, and coming back. I don't think it was 15 minutes from like pulling out of the store to coming back.
Well, I don't think I need to be doing that, but you made it very enticing. Thank you.
Yeah, sponsored by the CDC.
Not.
Yeah, not.
No. The blood test.
What?
Yeah, they give you a blood test for the antibodies. I had that.
Oh yeah.
Are
you sweet? Yep. You have it?
No.
You strong?
No, I'm clean.
Strong, healthy man.
Well, I don't have COVID.
Well, that's all you need, man. What do you think about we're kind of going off on the rails already, but I'm enjoying it. So, what do you think about the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, the enforcers out in Portland and Seattle? I don't want to spew you with my opinions.
I consider myself a libertarian, a civil libertarian, and I hate to see overuse of any government power. Mm-hmm. But when you look at pictures of what those people did out there to the courthouse in Portland, and they're not doing a damn thing about it without the federal government. Seattle police chief were essentially writing a letter to the citizens saying, sorry, we can't protect you. You're on your own.
We're not answering calls.
I don't know. I don't know the solution, but somebody's going to have to do something. These people are monsters.
Going insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Chicago. It's right here in Chicago. There, something like 40 officers were injured last Friday, throwing frozen water bottles and moving under like Roman soldiers underneath umbrellas so they can't be identified. It's real scary. And even Lori Lightfoot finally accepted federal help. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, it's it's tricky because I mean, like we talked about, like within days of George Floyd being killed was when we talked about, we're like, there's no wiggle room on that. You're like, dude was killed, straight up murdered.
Right.
Left, right, libertarians, whatever, murdered.
Yeah.
But then we talked about over the coming week or over the weeks following it, we were like, but it sucks because now if you are not for, the burning of small businesses, it's, so you're not for Black Lives Matter or George Floyd. Right. And you're like, well, no, now you're perverting what I'm saying, you know? Oh, you don't want to invade Iraq for WMDs? So what, you're okay with 9/11? It's only 2 years in the rearview mirror. And you're like, no, I'm not okay with the World Trade Center being demolished. I don't think Iraq has anything to do with it. But you can get swept up in that fervor where if you don't march along with it, it's you're a pacifist and you're not a patriot.
I had the same experience with a good friend who said, well, the only reason you're so concerned about all the murders in Chicago is obviously because it's a black city and you're trying to be a racist. I'm okay, bud. Okay, then. Well, I mean, maybe it's because all these people are dying.
Yeah, maybe you're dragging race into it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And Lori Lightfoot saying Trump's sending the federal police in because he's a sexist. I mean, come on.
I don't even know what the fuck that has to. What is that? God damn. There's some impressive mental gymnastics.
You need to take a minute to let that kind of percolate.
Yeah, just kind of gotta let it marinate. What did you say?
I'll tell you what. I mean, it's happened even here in Little Dixon. 2 large Caucasian girls painted Black Lives Matter on the Ronald Reagan statue. So
that's what I was saying. You've taken this wonderful unifying thing of a guy being killed, and now it's been perverted to just destroying property, just destroying federal property. And now here it comes. Oh, look at you, Tommy, destroying the federal government. Look at you. Oh, you're not for the people? So you can get, it's very beautifully, I mean, just respecting, I don't know, it's like respect your enemy. Hey, man, I respect the carefully, surgically woven mask of now if anyone supports the forces who are trying to quell these protests, here's how we'll paint them as bootlickers. But it's like, so if you come out and you go, you said libertarian, I'm not for excessive government force, but you're like, but they're destroying federal property. They're destroying people that have nothing to do with this. Yeah. I don't think it's good. Maybe they should step in oh, so you're a fascist. And it's like, well, no. And now you're just making me hate your cause more.
But even African-American leaders are saying this has become some kind of a white millennial spectacle.
Dude, there was like
stolen from them.
There was like an 80-year-old black guy that came in yesterday to the liquor store. He's got a Redskins hat on. One of the guys is like, how much longer are you going to wear that hat? And he goes, man, why can't we all just get along? And I was like, true that, man. He goes, you know what? He goes, I ain't seen no Native Americans mad about the Redskins. He goes, you know who it is? And I'm sorry. And I go, what? He goes, it's a bunch of young white people. I go, dude, it is. He goes, I don't mean that against you. And I go, you're not doing anything against me. He goes, it's everything, man. He goes, I'm being told to be angry about things that I ain't angry about. And I was like, true that. This dude's 6 decades older than me. Black guy, white guy. And we're just both laughing going, it's like, yeah, you know what it is? Yeah, it's a bunch of uber white, uber liberal millennials who it's like recreational revolution.
Yeah.
It's got nothing else to do. And I know that I'm broadly generalizing this, and that's never a good tactic, but it seems what it is. You don't have any other struggle in your life, so
here's the great irony, Tommy. You got protesters in Hong Kong waving the American flag. And you have kids in Portland waving the hammer and sickle. Think about that.
It's almost like the universe is fucking with us.
It's how it feels, isn't it?
Anthony Weiner getting caught sending dick pics.
We're in the Matrix. We're in the Matrix, and whoever's mining the store has been hitting the sauce.
Yeah, and they're having a ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, fuck it. Just pull up the programming. Let's just switch it up a little bit. See if these fuckers figure it out. Nope. Keep it going.
Keep it going. Man, it's a mess. When even Dixon gets its taggers and that going on, you know it's a problem.
Is who did you say? You said even when so and so accepts Lightfoot?
Lori Lightfoot.
I don't know who that is.
She is the mayor of Chicago. She's a radical left wing, hates Trump. She told him F you.
Okay.
And to the president of the United States. But she finally accepted federal police help. The police superintendent was begging for the help. They're getting run over. The officers are being targeted, and they can't do anything.
Yeah, it's I think you and I talked about this. I think we talked about it when we talked about China's stealth war by Brigadier General Robert Spaulding. Is wink wink hint hint nudge is that, but we talked about the destructive forces of what's going on right now and how there's a certain contradictory nature to it that will, on a long enough timeline, kill itself. But because it's a long timeline, you can't really see either end of it right now. So it seems like this organic thing, this self-sustaining thing. But what maybe it was just myself ranting, I don't remember if you agreed or didn't with it, but who cares, we'll bring it up again, was that this force or this pattern of cultural behavior, it's based upon destruction and just the oppression Olympics and canceling everyone. But it's like a cancer. A cancer is based on infinite growth on finite resources, which is why it kills the individual.
Right.
This movement is based on the perpetual destruction of everything, cancellation of everything. And then once everything's been canceled and all the wrongs have been righted, well, now it switches it again. Now even that, what we just accepted as acceptable, now that's worse. Now these people that we just deemed equally oppressed, now they are the privileged. It goes forever until it eventually will just have to kill itself. Because everything is based on, it doesn't create anything.
No, it doesn't. And it stuns me why in the world any American youth would embrace Marxism I mean, it's just left a trail of human carnage throughout the world. And now we want to bring it here. We don't realize how really, truly, I almost said privileged, and I don't want to use that word for obvious reasons, but it's so sad to me that, well, it's your generation that just it wants to burn it down and raise up this Marxist utopia. Now, how in the world is that a good thing?
That can never exist because it's been tried by people on every continent, and it doesn't work.
No, it sure doesn't work. But a lot of people die in the process.
Only 100 million in between 1900 and 2000, Paul.
Well, you're right. It's a trifling, but it is significant.
Only 100 million. Only the equivalent of what? 13 Holocausts, right? Is that no?
That's right. Yeah.
That's, what,
more than
times 6? 15? 16? 6 times 16? That would be 96.
I don't do
16 and a half. 16 and a half Holocausts.
Yeah.
Oh, no one ever. Stalin killed what? What's the conservative estimate of Stalin's death count of his own people? Isn't the conservative count 32 million?
32 million. And look what's going on in China still.
Yeah.
We still have concentration camps in China.
The Uyghurs, the Muslims.
Yes. The Uyghurs, or however you say that. No disrespect.
Yeah, I have no idea how to say it. Uyghurs. It's yeah. So is there, because I remember you made a Facebook post a while ago, and I don't even remember what it was, but I remember the wording of it was like, we must resist the lowest and densest human impulse to destroy what has been beautifully created.
Mm-hmm.
And it's oftentimes when, you bring up, not, I don't mean you, Paul, I mean you, what the individual, stupid English language, is that we, if you aren't for, or if you stick up for the American system in any way, then you are automatically advocating for all of its wrongs.
That's because they fundamentally believe that everything that America was established based on racism. That's what they believe. So it all has to be torn down.
Yeah. But so, if I or you or me sit here, or any of the military guys that or really anyone with a brain that I've had on this podcast sits here and goes, no, I don't think America's bad. It's automatically, oh, you're a piece of shit. But no, that doesn't mean that, just because if I have the American flag and have on military veterans, that doesn't mean I advocate for 100% of everything we've done. No, we've done terrible things. Is our society perfect? Not at all. No one can afford healthcare. The infrastructure's falling apart. There is still racism. There's a lot wrong with it. But God damn it, if it is not the least wrong system that we've managed to scrabble together in the history of humanity in once, and it's relatively, it's holding together. It's like a sandcastle while you're raining. It's 250 years old, but it's fucked up. Some civil wars, a couple world wars, dropped some nukes on some people. That wasn't good, but
we could debate that another time.
And I will debate for the dropping of the nuclear weapons 10 out of 10 times, because I would not be alive, because my dad's dad was on a troop transport ship over to the mainland. So I can't argue against it because it doesn't matter. But it's almost like the sandcastle. We're keeping it together, and there's some fucked up parts, but for the most part, we have this sandcastle, and it's just because it's not perfect. It's fuck that sandcastle. You think it's perfect? It looks like a blob. I'm like, you're right. It does kind of look like a blob, but look at the rest of the beach, and it's just flat with a couple dead starfish, a homeless guy pooping, and it's no, this isn't a beautiful fairy tale castle. But
tampon over there, a used condom.
Exactly, yeah. And just a bunch of shit, maybe a body just floating over, and it's here's this thing that, no, not perfect, but goddamn, if it's not the least shitty part of the whole beach. That's how I look at it.
Show me one better place.
It's no, nothing's perfect. Yeah, there are a lot of people with a lot of wealth and a lot of us that don't have any. And yeah, let's work on that. There is racism. I lived in Valdosta, Georgia. Trust me, racism is still alive at a level that you haven't seen since Django Unchained. But it doesn't negate the whole thing. It doesn't. There's a lot of great shit. Just period. You and I can get on a podcast and we can challenge the U.S. I like Trump. I can also say, fuck Trump. There's no Gestapo punching down my door because of wrong thing. Not yet, at least. But my podcast has been shadow censored, and it's just trying to pick away at it. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I get angry when if you stick up for it in any way, you're a piece of shit.
I'm almost at a loss for words. It makes me so upset.
Yeah.
And I defy these people to show me someplace better on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Despite all its problems.
And why haven't you gone?
The ironic thing is, who was the baseball player who signed a $300 million deal last week? And he did at his press conference, talked about the oppressive systemic racism.
Jesus Christ.
That, I'm like, come on, man. You just signed a $300 million deal.
To play a sport.
For playing. I mean, same thing Will Smith talks about, how Hollywood's so systemically racist. This house is worth, what, $42 million or something?
He's got a double-decker mobile RV. We were looking at it at work the other day on our phones. He's got a double-decker mobile RV.
Wow.
It's like a 2,000 square foot bus.
Wow.
$2 million for this thing, dude. Self-sustaining. It's literally, you know how some RVs open up wide when they park?
Yeah.
This one does that, but it also, an entire second floor comes out. And it's so he can be comfortable at work. Well, what does he do for work? He makes movies, but it's so he's comfortable. And go for it. That's awesome. What a wonderful thing that can be your reality. Where else can you do that? Bollywood, maybe. Okay, sure.
Maybe, but then you got to do all those silly dance numbers. And
yeah. And I don't know, man. You're a black guy in India. I don't know. That's pretty backward society. Go have fun there. It's not
let's compare ourselves to India.
Yeah, go there. Yeah. I don't know, dude. India managed to do voter ID with 1.1 billion people.
Yes, they did. But they also have streets that run with green sewage.
Yeah, and they shit everywhere, and they generally, rape is a pastime. But I don't know, You
ever try and take a train in India? I don't know if you've seen what that looks like, but
yeah,
more people hanging on the outside than on the inside the train.
I found a picture of like an old Sopwith camel biplane from the 20s, and it had people sitting on all the wings and everything, and someone superimposed Air India.
But on the other hand, they're becoming a very important ally, counterweight to China.
They are against China. So
yes.
Let's segue into China. So what's going on with that? What's going on with the China and India border clash? Has there been anything going on? Or is the eye on Iran now? Because
they de-escalated that, but Trump is continuing to hit China. He closed that consulate down, had the guts to do it. Did you see Kissinger came out and said, finally a leader that's willing to confront China?
I'm making fun of millennials, but I finally have a job and I've been working, so I've been unplugged from it. What the hell's been going on? He did what?
He closed the Chinese consulate in Houston. He said it was a center of espionage, and they thought it was on fire. So much smoke was pouring out because they're burning all their documents that he said, you got 72 hours to get your ass out. So they started burning documents. And then, of course, China responded by taking us out of the Chengdu, or however you say that, consulate. So Trump's not being pushed around by China. I give him credit for that.
That's what I like about you, though, is I'm pretty far right. That's what I like about you is you're not a Trumper. That's why I love you, is because you'll come. I love you for many reasons, Paul. But you'll come in and you just kind of you stick with your guns at your own points, and sometimes it's for Trump, and sometimes they can't. And that's why I like you, is because that's how I know they're legitimate beliefs. You're not just Orange Man bad, and you're also not just Trump 2020.
I try to stay down the middle, and I think as much as detest is a strong word. Some of his actions, his behaviors, his apparent total lack of morals. I really like what he's doing with China, what he's doing with Israel, what he's doing about human trafficking. I just adore that he's prosecuting these bastards at a rate never before seen.
More than the last two administrations combined.
Yes. Yeah, it's just through the roof. But then he goes and says that he wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What the fuck was that?
I don't know, but I couldn't believe it when I played it.
That's
I know he said that about everybody that's been arrested, but you don't say that about an alleged child sex trafficker.
no, that's not good.
It's not
That's
good.
objectively not good.
It simply isn't. You could have come up with some better words like "burn in hell." I understand the burden of proof and beyond reasonable
Sure.
doubt and all that, but
Yeah. And, and as someone that is blinded by the fact that I like him, I can say, oh, well, he's just saying that to distract the media. But again, well, that's just me going through my own mental gymnastics. Just
we
like,
all do it.
yeah, we
all
all try
do
to
it.
confirm our own beliefs and dance around, and it's yet hold the other, quote unquote, other side to some infallible standard that you do not enforce on yourself. Yeah, I guess the next best thing you can do is talk about it and try to acknowledge your own um, cognitive dissonance. But
Right. We
so
all distort reality.
yeah, we all manipulate it to, we all have a confirmation bias. Google search, is Tommy awesome? Nope, 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 nope. Fuck those fake news. Fuck those. Ninth page, Tommy's awesome. Finally, a reputable news source.
Exactly.
There we go. That's all I needed. It's finally, and it's But what did you say about Kissinger? Kissinger said,
Came out and essentially said Trump is the first world leader to confront the Chinese with basically, "Hey, you guys, I don't like your behavior. Fuck you." And they don't know how to respond to it, and it's causing all kinds of chaos with the Chinese
they've never been
because
punched
Trump
in
is
the back.
coming out. I mean, he's essentially put his dick on the table here and said, "No more." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now I don't know. Biden, is he going to do the same thing? I
Self-war by Brigadier General Robert Spalding. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, and that concerns me more than anything right now.
The China problem.
The China problem is enormous.
And that's what it is. It's the China problem. You
Yeah,
call
and
it
the whole
exactly
world
what
has
it
it.
is.
And the whole world is starting to wake up and say, "Whoa, wait a minute."
What is this behemoth? What is this thing?
Yes.
It almost seems like the virus crawled out of the Soviet Union, and almost like some Voldemort shit, and it's been nursing itself back up, and now it's like, it's dropping into sacrifices.
Right.
The God demands sacrifice. Put 2 million people in concentration camps, and it's slowly like the horns are just coming back on, and it's like now it's starting to get its muscle and its big leathery wings, and now it's just, hey, we went from the CCCP to the CCP. It's
Well,
just
it's real
light,
easy to spell.
a little leaner, yeah.
A little leaner, a little meaner, and a
Yeah.
lot more dangerous.
Yeah, they went through some focus groups and they decided, hey, we'll drop one of the C's and maybe we'll give it another shot.
Yeah. Now we're not facing each other across the Iron Curtain like we were with Russia, but they're here. They're right here.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, here's Chinese manufacturing technology right here in this iPhone. What would we do without it, right?
Yeah, all of it. It's.
Yes. We got to wake up.
What do we do without it? Because they control 90% of the world's rare earth metal trades, but they don't. Sorry, 90% of the world's rare earth metal trade, but they only have 30% of the world's rare earth metal supply.
Yeah.
But are they? So I'm listening to Permanent Record by Ed Snowden because I just finished Shadow Factory, the ultra secret post 9/11 NSA by James Bamford, which came out in 2004, I think, 2005. It's a little dated. So I finished that and then went straight to Snowden, try to get like a different look on it. And then after that, I'm going to listen to one by Michael Hayden. So I want to get like an objective history. I want to get Snowden's, and then I want to get the next director. Just try to see if I can't get some Venn diagram, some general truths. But one thing, so Snowden goes on and on talking about how he said the internet is as American as baseball, in that the vast majority of the world's internet traffic goes through American, I guess, servers, whether they are on U.S. soil or whether they're on pieces built by U.S. companies bound to U.S. laws. They might be manufactured in China, but in terms of where the electrons are going, is all through direct or indirect American property and thus is subject to American rules. And that, like, so for baseball, it's a home field advantage.
Well, but didn't Obama want to give that up though?
Oh yeah, what was that called?
I can't remember.
I something.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But point being is now going back to Brigadier General Robert Spalding's stealth war is thinking about the 5G development.
Right.
And, are they now? They are playing the super long con. Construct the actual physical backbone and slowly change the home field advantage.
Absolutely right. The 5G backbone, thankfully, Trump's aware of it. Now England is aware of it. They're literally tearing out the Huawei technology in England. And thank God for that. And we know better than to allow it here. And that's, I don't know that if it's Donald Trump, but it's his administration that has said, no, thank you.
Dude, we touched on it last time, and I don't think we really came to a good conclusion. And I don't think we can. But let's take another stab at it. How is China addressed? Do you got to go all out, a multifaceted front that may last a half century, Cold War II? What do you do? Or do you just kick their asses on the playing field, just make everything better here? What is to do?
I think that we have to reduce our reliance on them, do whatever it takes to bring home manufacturing of essential goods and services. And now the Republicans just announced today, as part of their new COVID relief package, a program to stimulate manufacture of PPE here in the United States rather than by importing it from China. And I think that's a really good start. It's a small start, but it's something we have to do. The manufacturing capacity of the United States is what won World War II.
Yeah.
And now if you go to Detroit, the arsenal of democracy, what do you see? A bunch of abandoned, derelict facilities.
The only thing we can produce now is ethereal. It's software. It's content.
Well, we still can build some pretty good cars, some pretty good airplanes.
Tesla.
Tanks. You know, we can still build a few things, but look at the World War II. How many aircraft carriers did we pump out?
Dude, we are building a fighter jet every hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, now how long does it take to build a fighter jet? I mean, an F-35, I don't know.
It's a little more complex now, granted, but
quite a bit, yeah.
A little bit. But just I don't know what is, or is there a way to shed light on it and make it a global effort as opposed to just America take on the CCP? Is there a way to show every country that they're getting fucked 6 ways from Sunday? It seems like
I really think they're getting it. Look at the Philippines. They kicked us out, invited the Chinese in, and now they're saying, whoa, Uncle Sam, remember us? We're your buddies. Remember us? You have a treaty obligation to us. The Chinese are screwing us over here in the Philippine Sea and the South China Sea. And then the Chinese sunk a Vietnamese fishing boat, didn't they?
What? Oh, was that? Oh, yeah, that was in,
Yeah, they just sunk it. So
might be missing.
Vietnamese are reaching out to us.
Might be
We're
missing
actually
MacArthur.
giving weapons to Vietnam.
Clown world.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're missing MacArthur. Maybe they want us to go swinging in Manila again.
Well, they don't like the Chinese either. The whole world is waking up, and I don't think China's ever faced such a hostile globe.
No.
And COVID kicked it off, for sure.
I think COVID was literally, China was COVID. What a great example, because COVID, you're brilliant, Paul. China was a stealth agent, and COVID was them sneezing.
Yeah.
Everyone just heard it.
Yes.
And what the hell was that? They got close, man. They had the knife. They had the stiletto knife, but
they were there.
Will something be done about it, though? I know we didn't really touch off on Project Pluto at all. We didn't get close to it.
No, we didn't.
You want to do like 15 more minutes and
Yeah, sure.
you can't touch off that?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So Project Pluto, which was going to be the episode, but it's my favorite Cold War, one of my favorite Cold War plans, was a nuclear-powered ramjet the size and mass of a diesel locomotive that would go Mach 3 at the speed of an SR-71 Blackbird at an altitude of 100 feet. It would go for months on end, using the shockwave to destroy everything in its path. It was powered by uranium oxide and beryllium nitrate cores, I think, and it was a direct. What is it? A direct. It spewed radiation. It wasn't clean everywhere it went. Shockwave kills everyone. Radiation kills everyone. And it goes for months and months and months. So just imagine at 100 feet going Mach 3, demolishing houses. Remember, the SR-71 set off a Mach 3 shockwave at, I think, a mile in altitude by accident. And It blew the windows out of a cathedral a couple miles away and killed guys on the scaffolding. This thing would be at 100 feet going Mach 3 for months, spewing radiation. And that's not even its primary role. Its primary role was to hold up to 26 1-megaton thermonuclear warheads, dropping them off at predetermined destinations, all the while just going around the Soviet Union. And then lastly, so on top of shockwave, radiation, and then just, general thermonuclear war, at the very end, it would then just impact something as a kinetic strike vehicle. Those are 4.
Which is, the collateral damage that you're talking about was enormous. And that was just, this will happen too.
What? Those were all. Oh yeah, those were all. Yeah. Those
that'll happen as well.
Those are appetizers and desserts. Those weren't the main course.
No, I mean, what a horrible weapon. You're talking about the late 50s, and they were designing essentially a nuclear cruise missile that could loiter for months at a time and then swoop in to attack.
Months. Yeah.
I didn't even know about this, Tommy, till you told me. And the study I did of it, the thing that I don't understand about it is, like I said to you last night, navigation. How in the world would something like that guide itself in 1957?
So is actually,
I realize they're saying TERCOM, but does that even exist in 1957?
It was, and there was something in the early 50s and the early 60s called ATRAN, which is where they would literally get these big, they would get these like 3D topographical maps.
Yeah.
And it was, talk about like old school. They would put them in these warehouses. These things would be 300 feet long. And then when they would get these cameras on these like booms, and they would literally come in and they would go right above it, and they would simulate what it would look like flying at different altitudes.
Yeah.
Would then take that data on those early computers, put that in a machine, and then the machine, so even if it lost radar contact or its radar was broken, it could then literally would have a few sensors on it, crudely picking out, peaks and troughs and valleys, and then it would go into its crude, couple kilobyte database, and it would match it. It's actually brilliant. They literally had like so you didn't need to know it. It wasn't like a real-time computer scanning. It was it's almost like you're looking at a map. It was just doing that in like real time. But we had these videos of, we would just get these cameras and roll them over topographical maps from different angles.
But how in the world could you make, this is the age of ENIAC, right?
So what you would do is you would load your predetermined destinations.
Yeah.
It wasn't a real-time thing. You couldn't contact it and say, all right, now we want you to hit Moscow. It was.
So once you launch that thing, it's done, right?
Game over.
Fire and forget, right?
Fire and forget months. Yeah.
Unless mechanical failure, considering the operating temperatures and all that, I suppose that could have been very, very realistic.
2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, yeah. Oh, yeah. When it crashed, there'd be a Chernobyl at that site. Don't forget that one.
Well, that probably, given the size of the reactor and the fuel, would not have been comparable to like Chernobyl. But
no, not nearly as much. But
the fuel rods were like pencil size, right?
Yeah, so hundreds of thousands in each one.
Yes, that's true. 500,000 were made, right?
Manufactured by who? Coors Light. Manufacturing power right there.
That is pretty cool. What, we're making beer and you want us to make nuclear fuel rods out of our ceramic?
And
Sure.
apparently they did it like on par with like the the classified labs.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old Adolf Coors.
Yeah, going in. Is it Adolf Coors?
Yeah, that's the
His
name
name
of
was
the company.
Adolf. That's unfortunate.
Well, every Adolf doesn't have to
Yeah.
be bad, do they?
No, it's just like they ruined the toothbrush mustache. Just got
Well,
ruined.
yeah, that's pretty much ruined.
It's just done. What an asshole.
Charlie Chaplin could not get away with it today.
Nope.
But what a terrifying weapon. I mean, imagine the sound this thing would have made. It would have been deafening people.
Oh my god, dude! This thing is. I mean, this was from the pits of hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it made a V2 rocket look like a child's toy.
It made a V2 rocket look like a slingshot.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And it could actually it was actually some multi warheads inside this thing,
Up to
different
24
configurations.
Yeah, different. You could do one big one, a couple small ones. The most lethal was 24 1 megatons. So just hit 24 cities.
Yeah, right. And you don't need to have any targeting as long as you're in the vicinity.
How it did it? It popped them up.
Mm-hmm.
You go pop because it's going Mach 3. Just
right.
It yeets the hell out of there. This thing goes up, comes down. You can't detect it on radar because it's right on the deck.
Right, right.
So
what defense could there possibly be against something like that?
Well, there wasn't, and that's actually why it was killed.
Okay.
So I hate it because there are no books on it. You'd think that this would be. There's a lot of little YouTube videos, but there's no like, which I hate because it's the most insane thing. But Project Pluto SLAM, SLAM, supersonic low altitude missile, there was no defense, and that's what led to its death. Because it's for the same reason that the Soviets were, and actually some people in the U.S. were so opposed to Reagan's Star Wars, was that, wait, so what, you're saying that we can produce a shield that could take out 99.9% of incoming nukes? Yeah, that's terrible. Why? Because now there's no mutual assured destruction. Now it's only assured for them. So now we know that we can just take them out. Well, then the only way they can compete is to kill us all and launch everything.
Yes.
So it's destabilizing, and that's why. Because what you just said, what defense is for that in the 50s? We realized that in like ARPA, or before it was DARPA, was they were like, how do we stop one of these? Because the technology isn't necessarily, it's just insane. I mean, the idea is insane. The actual technology, it was like, you can figure it out. The Soviets, they're not stupid. They'll figure it out. And then they started doing some like think tanks, and they realized, oh, we could not possibly stop this. So it came down to, you know what? If we don't make them, maybe the Soviets won't. And it worked.
It did. It did. The technological challenges were enormous anyway. You had ICBMs that could do the same thing for a lot less money.
But that was after.
But they were on the horizon.
Yeah. But not when
they were on the horizon. So
when it was being tested, yeah. Because you got to think, the idea to drop multiple bombs at multiple locations, it's not so fantastic when you think about, well, what about an ICBM? It's got the MIRVs where it can shoot from orbit. Well, exactly. That was after Pluto. During Pluto, it was like one missile, multiple targets. It later became like, yeah, that's industry standard. That's defense contractor standard.
And we were coming out with Polaris at that time, I'm pretty sure. So we had lots of other options, but this was literally a horrific weapon.
It was insane. It's called the Flying Crowbar. It had some other like demonic nicknames. And everything we're talking about, this is what one could do.
Yes.
God knows we weren't going to make one.
No.
You would have sent over an army of these. And not only that, it had a sort of second strike capability in that you didn't have to launch it and then let it go for months and months around the Soviet Union. You could launch it and then have it do like 1,000-mile circles in the Pacific and just keep it going. And then if, its 3 months lifespan came up and we're still at peace, just plunge it into the ocean, launch the next one, and you just keep them there. And if at any moment something goes bad here, you can just send like a single radio signal and it activate.
Right.
And just imagine a fleet of these screaming over the ocean at 100 feet, coming to the Soviet mainland. Game over. So, but there's something that one of the things they had to do was the engine was so hot after they used it. Good for like 5 more minutes.
Yes.
All right, I don't want to keep you. It's it was so hot. The engine was so hot. They had to use like remote controlled train cars
Yeah.
to work on them, and they had to put them behind huge lead and water filled windows just so
Yeah.
they could look at it through cameras.
6 feet concrete walls.
After they did that though, and they finished up testing, and they went and they parked it in this like one of the, I guess, the concrete wall place and just sealed it off. They went 8 years later. Some researchers went to just look at it. 8 years later, they had on all their radiation gear.
Oh, sure.
Said when you walked into the room, you could only stay in there for a couple moments because it felt like you were in a blast furnace. It was
Wow.
that hot 8 years later.
Wow.
8 years later. You said they opened the door and it was like, when you get really close to a fire and you're moving some of the logs and you're like, whew, whew. Said you could open up. Said you could walk in there. You could, whew, whew, all right, and then shut the door. 8 years.
Wow. How horrific.
Project Pluto. It's the only weapon we ever made where it's the only.
Oh, it's too terrible.
Yeah, it was very War Games-esque. Like, what a peculiar weapon. The only way to beat it is not to build it. That's what it was.
You're right. I don't think there's a parallel anywhere that I'm aware of where we said this is so horrific that we just can't build it.
Yeah. Well, what will we do if the Soviets build them? Nothing. So what if we don't build them? Well, maybe the Soviets won't build them. And it worked.
It did.
Which is weird because it didn't work with ICBMs or nukes in general.
It didn't, but it sure worked with this weapon, which is so fascinating. The drawings of it, even, it looks like something out of that 1929 film Metropolis.
Yeah, dude, this thing is demonic.
This dystopian, futuristic Flash Gordon from hell.
Yeah, dude, do we even had plans to put them on back of like flatbeds on railroads and just move them around the country? And at any time we could just launch them. And these things, they looked like, if you zoom out of the big, these things looked sharp, almost like the engines of an SR-71. They just black, just nuclear death in the 50s.
Horrifying. And we worked on them for what was it, 9 years, 8 years before they pulled the plug?
And they worked. They made a 1/10 scale size Tory 2A and Tory 2C.
Yeah.
Names of them. I don't know what they stand for. But we made them, and they worked.
Yes. Didn't they fire up the second one for like 90 seconds or something?
Yep. They had to use a bunch of submarine compressing engines, air compressors from Groton, Connecticut, and they brought them in, and they had to fill up all these pipes.
Yeah, it was like 1 million pounds of compressed air, right?
Yep. Because they had to get it at the pressure, and then they put all these copper BBs that they would heat up, and the heat that kept the heat, and they had these miles of piping, and then they could just you take the metaphorical, just open up the faucet, and then it would blast this 2,500 degree air at Mach 3 over the engine, and it worked just fine.
Which would then heat it up to what, 4,000 degrees?
Yeah, or it came in at whatever it was. Yeah, there's a massive temperature differential.
Well, it have to be. That's what keeps it in the air, right?
Yeah.
The temperature differential, that's the performance of the ramjet.
Yeah. Without it would crash, which is...
So it passes it over the nuclear reactor to heat it, which then ejects the hot air, and that's what makes it fly, if I understand it.
That's what made it have its speed. Yeah, it was the difference in temperature.
Yeah.
I feel like I should know basic physics, but it's... And that's the other thing, man. The air was coming in at Mach 3. And it was going out at Mach 3, or more than Mach 3.
Yeah.
It had how much time? How quick is that to jack it up by 1,000 degrees? Then it did it just fine.
Yeah, it did. Amazing. And the ramjet is something that's been speculated as being the propulsion for the Aurora. And there have been lots of sightings of the donuts on a string contrail. And you could see that when they showed a picture of the Tory 2C, you could almost see that kind of, in the contrail. Like, I wonder if maybe that idea of nuclear propulsion was not still used.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, talk about the ultimate loiter weapon.
Right.
Throw
Right.
that up for months.
You can't beat that. I mean, unless you're in orbit. All right.
Wink, wink. That will have to be another episode.
I think so. But what a fascinating weapon. And
in the 50s.
In the 50s.
What the fuck do they have?
Well, we've seen the grandbabies of the Pluto project. I mean, that's what the cruise missile became, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only far more sophisticated.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's Raven Rock makes a little more sense now. Hey, why are you guys building all these bunkers? Well, we built these weapons, and we realized if they build them, there's only one way to survive. What's that? A mile underneath granite for 1,000 years.
Yeah. Exactly. The whole thing is in perspective. The more we learn about this, the more sense Raven Rock makes.
Oh, yeah, the more you and I learn about this, Raven Rock made sense since it started.
Yeah, right. But for us,
yeah,
it makes a lot more sense.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that's why we're not so gung-ho for a second Cold War.
We're in the midst of it anyway.
I think it's starting.
It's been going on. We just didn't realize it.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe this podcast will be a historical document. Maybe I can live stream the Cold War over the next couple decades.
You could be a cyber Paul Revere.
I think that's Robert Spalding. I think he's Paul Revere.
Well, he is. Maybe you can be the one who broadcasts it over the internet, because I don't think enough people know yet.
Nope. He was kicked off the National Security Council for raising too many alarm bells about 5G.
You bet. Because people are lining their pockets.
They're being infiltrated by those CCP scumfucks.
Well, right. Well, that's the thing about Trump. He doesn't care.
I don't know, man. Yeah, you can't bribe a billionaire, I guess. There's some genius in that.
Yeah, that's the thing Hillary Clinton said. That she said we need men like Donald Trump to run for office. He can't be bought.
And I love how history just shits on itself. And Obama put in his senior thesis, Donald Trump is the American dream.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. This is a horrifying weapon that I'm glad was never built. But you know what? I'm sure we have the equivalent in our arsenal today. We just don't know about it.
I'm sure.
But I'm confident it's out there.
I'm sure we have something 100 times worse.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm too cynical, but we realized how horrible this weapon was and decided not to develop it further.
I don't really believe that.
Ring true to me.
I don't really believe that. I've heard that explanation, and historians pretty widely agree on that explanation for why.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's like Ben Rich saying hypersonics are impossible.
They don't protest too much.
Yeah. What a great way to throw them off the scent. You know what? This is just too dangerous. We're not going to build it. Everyone go home. We're done here. Scientists, please stay. But we're going to go. Everyone leave the research area.
Nothing to see here.
Space in a while. Why are there still people here 8 years later? Stop questioning. Go home. Watch the Yankees. I don't believe it for a fucking. Why are we building all these bunkers? To survive what? Well, why would we need to survive it? I don't fucking believe it. That's not how the power structure works.
No.
If it can be done, it will be done.
Yes, that's so true. And it's out there. It may be loitering around somewhere right now, the son of Pluto.
Yeah.
But it's out there.
Probably 200,000 feet. Just. Didn't you send me that thing? Or was that
yes.
The thing where the ISS caught that? It looked like a pulse detonation engine.
You know what? The TRB or whatever it is, it's out there and it's nuclear powered, and I'm confident of it.
I hope it is. I fucking hope it is.
I'm sure it is, Tommy. You and I probably will never see it, but
not with that attitude.
No, you're right. We got to think positive.
Yeah. If I ever succumb to some sort of terminal cancer, I've thought about this a lot. is that not for the philosophical implications or anything. I've thought, man, I would like say goodbye to everyone, and then I would be like, all right, please take me on a tour of some special access programs. And then you guys can give me like a lethal dose of like potassium or something at the end. Like I'm already dead anyway. Like just give me like 48 hours. Just give me a briefing. You didn't even need to take me to the site. Just give me a briefing and then let me go.
If you got to go, that would be a great way to go.
It's going to be a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Just let me see everything. Show me the orbital lasers.
Well, they're out there.
Fuck yeah.
Whether or not we want to admit it.
We'll save this for another episode, Paul. Because you're going to get me ranting, and then I'm going to keep you hostage. And I don't want
We need to do that. We need to do another one on the USS Tripoli, which was christened yesterday.
What?
The mini aircraft carrier.
This is why I don't work, because now I'm not in touch with everything. Now I'm just another man going and serving liquor and fat cocks, and I don't have my finger on the pulse of society. I didn't know about Kissinger. I didn't know about the consulate. I didn't know about the Tripoli. If you're listening, subscribe to this podcast so I can get revenue on it and read more books and make better episodes. See what happens when I have to work? The episodes suffer. Content suffers. Subscribe, motherfuckers. I gotta get to 1,000 to get monetized. Spam it for me.
All right.
I didn't even know. I thought you were just making something up.
No. She was commissioned yesterday, and she is the F-35 carrier.
Don't spoil it. We'll do another one. All right, Paul. Stay safe, brother. Thank you for doing one, man.
All right, my friend.
I'll see you, dog. Peace.